Indie comics and movie news. These are the indies. All right, what we got here? Invincible. These are the 10 best indie comics that ended before 2020 ranked. Uh, so I'm not too familiar with some of the. I know Invincible. So indie comics offer diverse, innovative, and complex stories beyond the superhero genre of Marvel and DC. Comic book TV shows often draw inspiration. So, like the Umbrella Academy, Paper Girls. So they show the creative brilliance. So let's see what we have. What do we have? So if we had to rank these, oh my God, is that the Tick? We love the Tick. The Umbrella Academy subverted reader expectations. So I don't know much about this one. I know I've seen it. Isn't it on Netflix? Should I be watching? Should I be watching the Umbrella Academy? I don't know much about this stuff. So we got that, and this came out from 2007 to 2019. Dark Horse Comic Books. So it was written by Gerard Way and illustrated by Gabriel Ba. It's an innovative and somewhat subversive take on the superhero genre. The Umbrella Academy revolves around a group of young, superpowered orphans raised by an eccentric entrepreneur with an even stranger secret background. So it's kind of like X-Men, but not X-Men. I guess it's a different take on X-Men. I had to watch the series to see what that's all about. Uh, so here it is here. I guess it's on Kindle. You can see it. Paper Girls. This is number 9. Paper Girls told a coming of age story across time and reality. So 2015 to 2019. Let's see. What does it deal with? The teenage friends at the heart of Paper Girls are a diverse group, each with their own complex histories and insecurities to overcome. Oh, it's on Prime. Thrown into a world of time travel and alternate dimensions, the girls use their wits and bravery to navigate an ever shifting version of reality. The bold graphics of Paper Girls illustrations perfectly capture the retro and futuristic settings for a complete story that readers will find both interesting and satisfying. So I guess there's a series on Netflix or Amazon Prime. So you got Netflix for Umbrella Academy. Descender explored humanity through AI androids. This is number 8. And Descender explores the fate of humanity in the wake of a devastating giant robot attack through the eyes of a young android child who is on the run from AI tracking bounty hunters. Descender is ripe for a film adaptation thanks to its compelling story, unique world, and emotional depth. The poignant story dives into the themes of identity survival and AI ethics. The series is beautifully illustrated with Dustin Yen's watercolor graphics, making it visually and narratively captivating. That's pretty good. Looks all right. Yeah, it's got something to it. It's kind of looks like a newer version of Ready Player One. Number 7, the wicked, divine, imagined modern reincarnations of gods. Once again, we return. What is that? What is that face? Um, Kieran Gillen is writing some of the most interesting modern comic book stories. Skillfully illustrated by Jamie McLevy, The Wicked plus Divine examines expansive topics like good and evil and the nature of pitfalls of fame. The story blends contemporary themes with classical lore. All right, that one was interesting. Number 6, The Walking Dead revived the zombie genre. So this one was 2003, 2019. The other ones, I forgot. They don't have the years on these, I think. This one was 2015 to 2018. They don't say how long this one lasted. Probably a short time. So yeah, Walking Dead, 16 years of publication. It's had one series and one spinoff. So many indie comic series are quite short. The Walking Dead launched the popular trend of a zombie-related entertainment content and became the genre's most famous example. Despite its often terrifying zombie chases, the true monsters are at the heart of The Walking Dead. Were those vying for power in the post-apocalyptic world? Yeah, I kind of did the same thing with my stories, like which group was going to have more power. Um, and in the end, almost everybody lost. But I guess in my scenario, the ones who were looking for power were the ones who weren't looking for power, the ones who were just trying to survive. But you have like different factions. So I think that's kind of like what The Walking Dead was about, just different factions. Would have been interesting to see a spiritual prequel to that. So here's Walking Dead. Number 5, Sex Criminals took readers on a unique caper. This was 2013 to 2020. Matt Fraction, Chip Darsky, and Becca Kinzel. So Susie and John are two ordinary single people. Uh, when they hook up after a party, however, they discover that they are one astonishing and one unusual skill when they orgasm. So they have sex, and they literally stop time after having sex. Armed with this surprising discovery, the pair plan a heist using their unique abilities, and the story only gets stranger from there. Okay, well, I guess you could do some sort of red band kind of movie with that, right? An NC-17 movie, maybe. I mean, why couldn't the sex scenes in Rebel Moon? Why didn't they stop time with that? Number four, Lock and Key gave readers a compelling horror story. That's kind of cool, like the art. 2008 to 2013. And this one, indie comics span every imaginable genre, but one category that particularly shines, okay, it's horror. Set in a small Massachusetts town, Lock and Key follows a Locke family who are fleeing a violent personal tragedy that occurred in their home in California. The widowed Locke mother and children go to live in a historic family home for a fresh start. Instead, they are confronted with both horrific acts that forced it across the country in the first place, as well as a fresh set of dangers and mysteries. Okay, so that was okay. Chew created an entire world of food-based powers and problems. This is like comic strip looking art almost. Let me see if I can X that out so we can see these things better. So that's this one. John Layman, Rob Gullery, Lisa Gonzalez, Steve Struble, and Taylor Wells, Image Comics, 60 issues from '09 to 16. Uh, she was not a superhero story. Instead, she was set in a unique world where both government agents and the criminals they pursue have unusual food-based powers. In an America where chicken has been outlawed due to a deadly avian virus, okay, FDA is the most powerful agency in the country. Agent Tony Chu could see Tony Chu. Well, of course you're going to name him Tony Chu. Of course you are. Can see the history of anything he eats. So, which makes him an effective detective, but also makes his life miserable. I think Boogie 2988 might like this one. Al Smith, too. With an entertainingly wide range of characters, in irreverent humor and perfectly matched cartoon-like art, Chew is a truly unique and engaging read. Two East of West blended westerns and science fiction amid the apocalypse. The Great Wall is coming down, and my judgment will follow shortly. Darn, darn, darn. I can hear the music from Red Steel 2. 2013 to 2019. Jonathan Hickman, Nick Dragona, Frank Martin, and Russ Wooten. Writer Jonathan is known for creating one of the most complex and innovative comic book series. In East of West, Hickman turns the Western genre on its head by combining it with apocalyptic sci-fi and alternate version of American history, emotional and intellectual. Okay, so the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, with Death as the main protagonists. Spanning a fractured alternate version of the United States, Death's quest to find his lost family introduces readers to various locations. That's kind of neat. Invincible, of course, it's number one. It redefined the superhero comic book genre. Robert Kirkman. So most indie comics avoid the superhero genre due to Marvel and DC's domination in that field. And one of the few true success stories for the indie superhero comics is Invincible, as has a cartoon series, is great. Like many of the best indie comic series, Invincible excelled by subverting common tropes with its genre and giving readers compelling plots full of unexpected twists. It stars Mark Grayson, a half-alien teenager who has Superman-like powers and uses them to protect the Earth. The characters in Invincible are complicated, and the lines between heroes and villains constantly shift. Invincible shows the superhero genre potential when not constrained by pre-existing worlds, and the result far exceeds the quality for any other hero book on the market. I will say, to challenge Invincible, that because Injustice takes place in an alternate DC universe, that I cared more about those characters. So I may read Invincible one day, but I'm just kind of hooked on Injustice. The story there was so great. Anyway, that's the 10 best indie stories before 2020 for the comic books. Indie Comics interview Garth Ennis on his new sword and sorcery book Babs. I'll take a look at this real quick. You can see the images really quick. This is what the comic book looks like. I don't know what this is all about. Let's see. There's a lot in here. Issue number 1 introduces us to Babs, a broke mercenary with a bad reputation, a magical sword with a bad attitude, and a horse that might be smarter than she is. When Babs pummels a bar full of bitter goblin incels, They set out to seek revenge. Meanwhile, Babs has problems of her own, not least of which is her uncomfortable scale mail halter top. Cool. I like her halter top. Ahoy's PR team let me read Babs #1. So can we see that image? Or should we zoom in? Should we zoom in on that image? There she is there. Can we see that? Oh, this goddamn whatever the fuck that is. Scale mail. The scale mail's going to chew my fucking nipples off. Oh my god, this is so cool. I think Gina Carano could play this character. This is kind of cool. So as of now, Babs is an ex-princess swordswoman against a bunch of mediocre dipshits who are, spoilers for issue 1. What else do you have planned for the series? Undead army, crappiest knight in the realm, wizard with a peculiar method of spell casting, ship full of saucy elves sailing the seas of sex. Oh, so this is kind of like, this is one of those naughty comic books that nobody ever admits to reading. A careful reread will reveal that Babs never actually qualified as a princess and that there's nothing mediocre about the dipshits' dipshittery. They do, in fact, take Olympic gold. Babs is a piss take on Red Sonja and the greater wandering mercenary archetype. Babs the Barbarian seemed like a winner, began with that title. Why Sonja, not Conan? I find Conan pretty boring and humorless, a giant pituitary retard. Thank you, Bill Hicks. Wandering around, scowling and being grim. Somehow I can see a woman having just enough self-awareness not to take the genre nonsense too seriously, but not a man. Or not an O for the Conan variety anyway. Wow, what kind of story are we looking at here? Holy shit. Can we go past this? Is this it? Oh. I find Red Sonja pretty lifeless too. The comparisons with Babs go no more than skin deep. This stupid script. Okay, here's more of the art. Let me see if I can adjust the color. This is good color. And yeah, Stormhammer, Hancock the Slayer. I like Lord of the Rings as well, at least until about halfway through when Tolkien convinces himself he's writing great art. What led to the notion of incel goblins? They seem the type, orcs and goblins, crawling things in caves. Gollum would be the most obvious example. So the author here is just like, doesn't give a shit. Called Love. In your recent work. The comics I was reading had some good female characters too, like Judges Anderson and Hershey, Purity Brown and Durham Red, and in particular Nina Petrova. They were the kind of women who didn't need men to help them. Okay. So, well, here's what a commentator says. Something really whimsical and charming about the horses having their own inner lives and exchanging chit-chat with each other at the watering hole. I got to check this story out when I get a chance. All right, let's look at one indie movie news story. Gina Rollins, the fiercest, most incandescent star of U.S. indie cinema. Subtle yet tough and fearless, the actor blazed a trail through American movies in the 70s, in particular in close collaboration with her husband, John Cassavetes. There she is in opening night. This is Gloria, 1980. I don't know much about this movie. It's a glorious New York picture. Rollins plays the title role. A hard-bitten New York mafia girlfriend of a certain age, living on her own in an apartment near Yankee Stadium and enjoying a semi-protected status. Then Gloria has a midlife change of heart when her wise guy associates show up to murder her neighbor. Oh my gosh. A mob accountant who has been riding them out to the FBI. She goes on the run with a man's mouthy 6-year-old kid who is now an orphan. The gangsters want his dad's incriminating notebook, which is in the kid's possession. They want to kill the kid too, but Gloria succumbs to a strange and motherly sentimentality rising within her and vows to protect the bewildered boy from these bullies with the help of her snub-nosed 45 and her fists. Oh, that sounds like a fun movie. Her violent scenes are jaw-dropping when she is on the street with the boy and the mobsters roll up in a big, bulky town car. Gloria is utterly unafraid, keeps them talking, then pulls out her gun and plugs 2 or 3. The car turns over spectacularly, making its panicky getaway under Gloria's coolly amused gaze, and then she makes her own getaway with the kid after airily shouting taxi. Later she gets into a punch-up on the subway with 2 ugly goons and comes out on top, jeering, "Let a woman betcha." Let's see. "Let a woman betcha, huh, sissies." Actually, she sounds more like Cagney than Bogart. Her exulting grinning face is electrifying. There's a staggering scene in a restaurant when she threatens to kill 5 mafiosi at a neighboring table and then makes her escape with the kid back through the kitchen. My theory is that this gripping scene inspired the tracking shot through the kitchen sequence in Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. Ooh, is Martin Scorsese copying off of other people? What is that about? And there we have, oh, that's really cool. That's Rollins with Peter Falk, having chili, I guess, and A Woman Under the Influence. That's kind of neat. So, greatest movie. There's all kinds of other, but I like this one though. A Woman Under the Influence. It's an operatic, all stops out study and family breakdown. Rollins plays Mabel, a beautiful, vulnerable woman with bipolar disorder. Her uncomprehending husband, Nick, is played by Peter Falk. The movie has an inspirationally simple 3-act structure. In the first, Mabel has an episode while in the house on her own, gets drunk, brings home another man from a bar while her husband and kids are away, and then embarrasses Nick horribly when he brings all his buddies home for lunch. In Act 2, the increasingly manic Nick imitates what was said about T.S. Eliot by Edith Sitwell. He goes bad and his wife committed. Left with their kids, he becomes increasingly crazed and denial about the horror, insisting at one stage on taking the children for a brief, horrible, joyless trip to the beach. In the third devastating act, Mabel comes home after 6 months in the psychiatric hospital, and Nick's folks have somehow insisted on a noisy family welcome home party that is precisely the sort of thing that tipped her over the edge. So let me get this straight. So, she brings home another man, and then embarrasses him. So he goes mad, his wife commits. So everybody's going mad, and then they have a party. That's why she went crazy. Oh my God. Oh my God. In this not quite right to call Rollins' performance subtle, she is vehement, fierce, compelling. Yet none of these things preclude an attention to detail. And I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm not even getting words out anymore. She comes home to apologize to her children. At the end, it's heart-wrenching. So these are pretty good movies. Let me finish this video before I start losing you all after minute 17 to if you got this far. Let's look at Adi Tantamed's Look at Moves. This is a classic. This is from 2012, I think. 2022. This is Until Death Do Us Part. Now here, okay, so I first wrote about the manga series Until Death Do Us Part in a column back in 2010. Back then, it was only available in Asia and in pirated English scanlations, whose fan translations, bless them, were not always people for whom English was their native language. The story has a deceptively simple start. A young girl jumps out of a car on a crowded city street one evening and runs up to a blind man she's never met, pleading with him to protect her until death do us part. If he doesn't, she's going to die. Okay. That's the kind of hook a screenwriter prays on a good day. Wow, we got 6,000 pop-up ads that I really don't want, I really don't need. Yeah, let's get rid of those. Thank you. That's the kind of hook a screenwriter hopes for on a good day. And then the tricky bit is paying off that setup. Until Death Do Us Part does it and more. This isn't any girl. This isn't any blind man. She doesn't pick up at random. Why are people after her? Why is her life in danger? This is the premise for an endless list of movies with varying degrees of success. The manga series has a story that unpeels like an onion as it goes along. And the world opens up more and more, with more characters and increasingly rich and complex characters entering the equation as it goes along. The girl Haruka has an ability that powerful people would kill for and have. And the blind man, Mamoru Hichikata, is a street vigilante backed by a crowdsourced network of victims of crime. And the moment he meets her, their destinies will be linked forever. Back then I said Until Death is not only the best action techno thriller comic being published anywhere, it is also the best superhero comic being published right now. It is better than anything that Marvel or DC is publishing. Having read the first English volume, I still think that's the case. The biggest problem Marvel and DC have is how to make their comics accessible to readers who haven't been following their continuity for years. Yep, raising my hand. I mean, raise a hand, okay? I have never gotten back into it. There were two exceptions to the rule. One was the Mongol War World storyline and Injustice, and that was about it. Even continuity reboot they have executed since the 80s has collapsed into a morass of just more convoluted continuity that's hard to follow for anyone who's been buying every single one of their titles. Manga does not seem to have that problem. Given the huge number of successful manga out there, and I continue to look at them, it's obvious that manga has been good at keeping each installment of a series easy to follow for anyone who's picking up the story for the first time. Until Death is easily accessible and lacking the self-conscious that too many mainstream superhero and crime thriller comes to these days, they're bogged down by. And that's the cover. So there's the hero, and there's the character. I might get this one. This looks pretty cool. This looks awesome. Yeah, I like this one. This looks good. And the thing is, it's not even until that Death Do Us Part is necessary that original. What it does brilliantly is take a whole bunch of buy now standard pulp and thriller ideas and recombine them in a way that feels new and fresh. When I first read it, it felt like a real smart Japanese writer had read a whole bunch of Marvel and DC comics and decided to write his own version. The series is really a kind of superhero vigilante comic, except the characters wear cool leather jackets, designer suits, and army fatigues instead of capes and spandex. It's set in a world that's comparable to our world, dealing with gangsters, corporate conspiracies, terrorism, covert ops, all the sexy crime and thriller tropes that people like in their movies and TV. So it's more of that thriller. At New York Comic Con last October of 2021, I discovered that Yen Press would be publishing an official English edition this May. Yen Press offered to send me a review copy of the book, though my pre-order from Amazon has shown up first. I've been reading the Asian editions of the series, which are now up to volume 13, and Yen Press is publishing 2 volumes together in omnibuses, so on a quarterly schedule starting now. So that's 400 pages for $19.95, cheaper than you would order online, which is a good deal as you're going to get. So that's pretty good. So that's not a bad way to end this. My only concern is seemingly the lack of publicity that, it's never going to get that kind of publicity. So it doesn't get publicity from comic book stores. This is the kind of breakout title that people who love the current crop of superhero movies and Hollywood thrillers by Christopher Nolan would love if they only knew about it. That's why we love your articles, Adi Tatamed, because you teach us stuff. You teach us things. Until Death Do Us Part also pulls off the trick every screenwriter hopes to be able to do, is to escalate the situation so it gets bigger and bigger, backing the heroes into tighter and tighter quarters, and then they have them win in ways that they aren't lazy or a cop-out. I'm avoiding story spoilers because the joy of this comic is the discovery of how insane Hijikata and Haruka's situation gets, and what they do to get out of them through sheer brains and skill. So far, I've not seen a single review for Until Death Do Us Part when the first book is already available from Amazon. I hate to see a good book or movie or show fall by the wayside. Let's see if YouTube has any reviews. We could look it up right now. Let's look it up right now. Well, it doesn't seem like there is. No, doesn't seem like there is. Let's see what Amazon has on sale for this. I would only be interested in the paper copy. Well, I'm not seeing the 400-page deal here, but I guess it's wherever you can get it. But I have options here. So you have $12.99. What do you think? Should I get it on Kindle? I have so many books at home. I don't need a whole clutter. So I do have so many comic books, even Ninja Turtles comic books over there. So yeah, I might try this out. $12.99, available instantly, right? Yeah, we'll take a look at it. We'll see what happens. If y'all like me to review this, we'll see how we'll see if I can get past the first of these. Volume 1, Volume 2. There's so many of these, right? Volume 2, Volume 3. Volume 3, I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, there's a lot of these. So that's why it's great to look at these. Sometimes you find stuff you don't even know about. Volume 10. There's a Volume 10 paperback. So there's a lot of these. So yeah, I'll take a look and see. If I can get past the first volume, maybe I'll get to the next one. But this is Volume 1. So there's 10 volumes. Okay. All right. So stay tuned for more videos, probably as early as tomorrow. But I hope you all learned something.